Self-proclaimed president of Belarus Alexander Lukashenko made amendments to the Internal Service Statute of the Armed Forces. According to it, servicemen may now use physical force, special means, combat and special equipment and weapons, taking into account the situation and the personality of the offender. It is now allowed to use weapons even in case of administrative offenses.
He has actually legalized the right to kill peaceful Belarusians. On the one hand, he is trying to accustom those who carry weapons in their hands that they have the ability to kill citizens and not be held responsible for it. And he wants those who will be killed to realize that this can happen. This means that Lukashenko is actually afraid of Belarusians. What else can explain the introduction of such changes?
Now, a serviceman will not be held accountable for damaging the health of a citizen if he used weapons against him in accordance with the requirements of the general military regulations. This means that the Belarusian military can shoot at peaceful people and not hold the responsibility for their actions.
It should be emphasized that earlier in the military regulations, in the legislation, there was a norm that provided for the possibility of using weapons by servicemen. However, there was also responsibility for exceeding the authority in using firearms by a serviceman. Now, for example, in the new version of the military regulations, such a norm as a warning shot has been removed. So this is already removed from the military regulations, and the article of the provision concerning responsibility for exceeding authority is also removed.
Earlier, Lukashenko signed amendments to the law on state security agencies. The document authorizes security service officers to use weapons against women, children, and the disabled, quote, in cases of armed resistance, armed or group attack, or other actions threatening the life or health of people. All this is part of the regime's repressive policy, human rights activists say.
As of the end of 2023, 4,248 persons are known to have been sentenced to various types of punishment on politically motivated charges. In the past year, 1,603 of them were convicted. Separately, people who are or have been in prison for administrative offenses. In 2023, the courts issued at least 4,466 administrative judgments, of which administrative arrest was applied in 20,005 cases. Victoria Rudinkova, a lawyer of the Human Rights Center Vesna, from publication in Novaya Gazeta.
Repressions for the protests in 2020 in Belarus is still ongoing. The last mass detention was allegedly related to assistance to political prisoners.
These are people who held political prisoners in Belarus and sent them packaged with clothes, essentials and food. Of course, most of them are relatives of political prisoners. For example, last year the authorities started to prosecute Belarusians en masse for donations to various funds that help Belarusians and Ukrainians. Victoria Rudinkova, lawyer of the Human Rights Center Vesna, from publication in Novaya Gazeta.
During the 2020 protests, peaceful citizens in Belarus were beaten, tortured and killed without Lukashenko's special permission and decrees. According to human rights activists, more than 25,000 people were detained back then. Many were injured during the detention. These arrested were beaten and tortured in pre-trial detention centers. Several people died. Reported by Anastasia Tarnavska, Yulia Bil, UATV News.